I don't know if that's any better or not. It says we're live, but it said we was live a while ago. You guys got us now?
Can you see me now?
I can't see you now.
Yeah, I haven't come up there yet. It says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
See you now, they said, but I can't see you. I don't know what's going on tonight. We've never had these problems before. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for changing over with us. You might want to jump out of there and let me send you another.
All right, I'm going to jump out. You send me another link.
All right.
Come on here.
Now, hang on, Chrissy. We're trying to get JR in. I've never had this much trouble for a long time, but we're having some difficulties tonight. We'll see if we can get him in here. Too much moisture. That could very well be. It's been raining all day. There he is. Hey, man. Everybody
What's
can
up?
see us. Let me change my my screen over here on this other computer. That way I got the correct
What's up, everybody?
stuff going. But
all right, we finally got it fixed.
We finally did, man. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Lyle? Everything good?
Everything's good. What's that?
Finally.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. I usually we get this stuff going, and I visit with people in chat before the show takes off, and then the guests just pop right in. But they couldn't.
Before the show gets started, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Fishing and Stuff. Oh,
Other side.
there we go. See there?
You know, I've tried to get him on Catfish Weekly with us. He's a blast.
No, he's camera shy.
The guy,
he's never going to go live. He's camera shy.
He's got some cool videos, man. He really does.
I'm just kidding, Keith. Yes, he does. I was one of my Facebook groups yesterday, and somebody shared one of my friends shared one of his videos in the group. I was like, "Hey, that's my friend. What are you doing?"
Well, that's good. I hope everybody finds us on the new link. If you guys don't mind, share this so people can find us. Since we got two of them up, I think that'd be a great idea. And thank you guys for getting in the show with us tonight. We had some problems. We got them straightened out. But JR, we're going to go over some stuff. And I know you guys in chat have got some questions for JR. But you've been doing videos and Facebook Live stuff for quite a while now. What got you started?
I think I like making videos, don't you?
Yeah.
What got me started? To be honest with you, I don't really know. I just love making videos. I don't know why.
I've noticed that with some of the stuff that you talk about, you really study what other people have put up online to guide people into. And I know that you do because I have read some of the same stuff that you talk about that other people have posted. And that's awesome because it tells me that you're wanting to up the quality every time you put one out better than the one before.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a form of expression, you know. I've been doing some videos at work here lately. That's why my YouTube channel, I haven't really been uploading anything. I think I've uploaded 1 or 2 videos this year, and it's they've been killing me at work. I think I've made 14 videos this year so far at work, and I'm getting ready to. This will be my last week of making videos at work, so I'm gonna start concentrating on my YouTube channel a little more. I'm getting ready to get my boat fixed, so I'm getting ready to start making some more videos on the boat instead of the kayak. But yeah, forgot where I was going with that. Help me out, Lyle. Save me.
Well, I can't say more than you get the work that becomes. I'd love to help you out with that, but I can't. Well, you know, I enjoy videos. I do all my work out here basically in the shop, and when I'm out here um, doing stuff, there's never what I want to watch really on TV. I've been watching a lot of history stuff here lately, but as far as outdoor stuff, there is a very limited amount of catfish things or catfish related stuff.
There
I
is.
like watching panfish shows. Uh, I don't care much for offshore stuff. I do like to watch a little bit of it, but not a ton of it. But
Somebody's going to have to step it up. Somebody's
well,
got to step it up. We
I
got Jeremy Wade. He's got like what, one or two episodes on river monsters where he's
yeah,
targeting catfish.
yeah,
And
and I
we
know
got Wicked Tuna.
Wicked Tuna. Fish Outers is coming out this year, so that's going to help a little bit, but it's still not. It's not where it needs to be. I mean, catfish in Missouri is the number one fish fished for. Now it's not that way everywhere.
These YouTubers are going to have to band together and stop being so selfish and worrying about themselves. We need to band together and start some type of show. Instead of everybody worried about monetizing their channel and making it on their own, let's band together and let's get something going. Let's get a collaboration going. That's like, look at Wicked Tuna. These guys they're showing some footage on Dave's boat. They're showing some footage on Dave Marciano. You got the other Dave. Then you got Tyler McLaughlin. It's like all these guys. It takes all these guys to make this show. If this show was only about one of those guys, it would suck. Nobody would watch it.
That's a great idea. If you could get a segment with you, a segment with me, a segment with Casey and James, maybe a segment with Dieter, maybe a segment with some of the guys down south that do a little video stuff, and put all that together for a quarterly
collaboration.
Yeah, a quarterly collaboration where everybody has the time. That would be an awesome thing.
I would love to do that. Nobody wants to do it. I had a friend of mine. I made a lot of videos with Spivey. I know if y'all watch any of my old catfish videos, you know Spivey. And I was like, look, man, I don't care about the YouTube channel. You can have the YouTube channel. I just want to make content. I want to share content. I want people to see this lifestyle. I want people to get into it. I want people to want to do it as bad as I do.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to find people that are on the same page with you as far as that goes. Everybody wants to do it on their own. Which that's fine. That's fine.
One of the things that I find interesting is there's a lot of guys that are not they don't get the type of equipment that it takes to do them well.
Well, like we were talking about with the mic earlier, today with these smartphones, you got your own little studio on one little device.
That's true.
I'm doing all my editing on my phone. Every single bit of editing is on my phone. A lot of my videoing is on my phone. And you said yourself yesterday when we done the test how good the mic is on it. Audio is more important than video. So.
I agree 100%. The reason we do any of the stuff we do is try to help people, first off, learn more about conservation and catch more fish. Try to get more people involved in. That's the only reason that we ever done any of the stuff that we do. It wasn't about anything else. We just wanted to get people to catch more fish, understand that you don't keep every fish that you catch.
Exactly.
Back.
One thing we've all got in common is every day, I'm sure you experience it probably on a daily or weekly basis, is you always got that guy that says, hey, did you go fishing over the weekend? And you're like, yeah, I did. Well, did you do any good? Yeah, I caught a couple 20s and a 32 pounder. And then he's like, all right, man, did you keep them? And you're like, no, let them go. And he's like, what? No, why did you let them go? Fillet them. Yeah. We got to get those guys and we got to show them why we're letting them go. It's so much more rewarding to let them go.
First thing out of their mouth, when's the fish fry? Well,
exactly.
If you rely on me for a fish fry, you're in trouble because I don't like cleaning the damn things. I love to catch them, love to eat them. I don't like to clean them, and I've probably cleaned in the last 15 years. I bet I ain't cleaned 10 fish. I just don't like to do it. I mean, I
Yeah,
used to do it a lot.
I'm tired of cleaning them too.
I don't care about that.
I've been through a dozen electric fillet knives.
I've got some
They
of that.
just yeah, I'm done with it.
When Cindy and I go out fishing, a lot of times we'll stop on the way home from fishing and let them cook fish. I don't have to clean them. All I got to do is give them a 20 and head on home.
Don't have to smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's my way of doing it. But I do like to eat fish, and I like crappie and I like catfish, and I'm okay with walleye. They're not my favorite, but uh, big bluegill's one of my favorites. But they make such good bait. I really really hate to eat any of them.
You don't like walleye? I love walleye.
As well as crappie.
Walleye kind of tastes like black sea bass. It's got that like a dense, like almost chewy type texture.
Yeah, it's okay.
I like that.
Yeah, I've had the only time I ever catch walleye is when we're crappie fishing, and you get one by accident. I don't just go out and target them. It's kind of like,
are you catching walleye on the Missouri?
No, Lake Ozark, Truman.
Now, is that a trophy catfish lake?
No.
That's what I was going to ask you. It seems to me like most of the lakes that have the walleye aren't really trophy catfish lakes. But well, no, I'll take that back because the Tennessee River has walleye, and that's trophy catfishery. So, yeah. Never mind.
The Lake Ozark and Truman, I don't think, even with the regulations that they put into effect on there, I don't believe it'll ever be gain trophy status, simply because there's for every 10 guys that rod and reel fish, there's probably 20 that have set lines of some kind. Big C Catfishing, thank you so much. We'll use that for shipping. Appreciate it. That's awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that run lines and stuff. And to tell you the truth, that's how I started. I think the majority of people did start that way, catching fish on lines, whether it be trot lines or jug lines. And jug lines is still one of the very best ways to get kids involved in the sport because it's fast action. And
it's so fun. You pull up on that jug and you see it bobbing, or you see it moving across the water.
And again, the end result is what I know as well as you do, that the end result is you don't have to keep them on. Turn the big ones loose. If you train them kids when they're small, how important it is to release the big ones, then keep the small ones if you want to teach them how to clean them and eat them and all of that. So yeah, I don't really have too much problem with the jug fishing, because it's very rarely that I see a very big catfish caught on jug lines. But they need to enforce the regulations and stuff on these guys with trot lines and them lines and stuff like that. They just
I remember you go to Lake Wtih. It's a riverine reservoir here on the Catawba, and I've been up there before. And there's you can see limb lines, and you go check them, and they've been there forever. People just never came back, and there'll be like basically a fish skeleton on the limb line.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and that really bothers me because it's just wrong. It really is. It's a terrible way to do things, and them guys that do that in Missouri, and I'm sure it's the same way where you're at. They got to have their name or conservation number, address, all that information is supposed to be on them, and they never do.
Yep.
The ones that leave them out there all the time, they either take them tags off, or they never have them on there to start with.
What's up, Catfish in Tennessee?
Do what?
I was saying hey to Catfish in Tennessee.
What? Tell me about whether you like your kayak better or your boat better.
Well, it depends. I guess if you had to average it out, and the boat would definitely, it would outweigh the kayak. But there is nothing like hooking up to a big fish on a kayak. There's just nothing like it.
Around a lot.
Yeah, it pulls you around, but it's more it pulls you in circles. You're not going down the river, you know, but it'll pull you a little ways and then it'll kind of turn you around and you'll just kind of go in a circle and you'll kind of, but it's just, you're right there. You're in their habitat. You're right there with them. You know, you feel more at one with them than you do in a boat, of course, because you're right there on the water. It's a little scarier, especially at night when you're catching a 60+ pound blue at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's dark and you know you're by yourself and it's just you and that big blue catfish right there in the middle of the river. It's nothing like it.
Well,
but the boat is nice because you can cast 10, 12 rods out. You know, you're double anchored and you could sit there and take a snoozer. You know, you can go to sleep and you know you're just waiting them out. You know, on a kayak it's a little different. You know, you can't really exactly get too comfortable on a kayak. So
what is the regulations where you're at on how many rods you can have in the water?
Where I'm at, there is, as far as I know, there is no regulations. You can have as many as you want.
Okay, see, we have here in Missouri, you're allowed 2 per person on the Mississippi, unless they're up to 33 hooks if they're named with your information on them or your conservation number. But everywhere else in the state is 3.
I think the laws are a little more catfish conscious, conscious a little more up there.
Yeah.
Down here where we're at, they don't care. Well, they need to. You know,
yeah, they should, and
this is the way it is.
Point in time that they'll all get together. Hey, JR, I want to give away some hooks tonight. Pick me out a number between 1 and 3.
Okay, let's go with 3.
1. I'm at 5, but 3 will do it.
Dale.
3. And the winner is Maurice Payson.
All right. That's my man.
Love old Maurice. He watches.
What's up, Maurice?
I think, honest to God, I think he watches every show about catfishing there is. I know he sees him in here every week. He follows Patriot James. You see comments that he makes on lots of videos and stuff. So he's a really good guy. Maurice, send his shipping address after the show, and we will hook you up with a nice new set of hooks from Catfish Supply Company. Thank you so much for watching the show. We appreciate it. We got a bunch of guys in here tonight. Looks like they're all having a good time in chat. Kind of tell everybody what kind of boat you got.
I have it's a Trophy 1903. Now, Bayliner owned Trophy for years. Then they sold it. They sold the name to Brunswick, which owns Boston Whaler, in like 2002. Mine's an 03 model. It's a 19-foot, 19-degree dead rise offshore boat. And it is a beast of a boat. It's the console's been moved forward. It's a little more forward than most of your center console offshore vessels. And it's just got these huge wide gunnels. It's got this crazy dead rise, and it's just 6-8 footers. It'll eat them like it's for breakfast. It's just a beast of a boat. You never have to worry about any kind of weather out there. You almost long for it. You almost want some weather to move in on you, and you want it to get as rough as possible because the boat just loves it, you know.
That's awesome, man.
It doesn't have all the deck space, like, you know, it's not a 24-foot Sea Arc where you got this crazy amount of deck space where you could play ping pong. But you know, it does good for what I do. I love the live well. You don't really need a bait tank. It's got a 30-gallon live well built into and everything's molded in. It's not like the Carolina Skiff DLVs and the DLX models where they basically build the hull and then they take and set the decks and they mounted everything in there afterward. Like the deck and everything is actually molded in. And I like that. It's a nice boat. It's a sleeper boat. You know, a lot of guys, they see that name Trophy and they automatically associate it with Bayliner and they think it's junk. But this one isn't. It's a very well built boat.
All the videos you've done in that boat, and on the videos, it appears that there's quite a bit of room in it.
You know, there's really not. You got the big center console. I got the custom T-top in there, and there's just not a whole lot of walk around room. It may seem that way in the videos, but in reality, there's not a whole lot of room in that boat. But I don't mind it. I'm used to it. And I mean, I love going fishing with these guys. Like I go fishing with the owner of Shad Shack, Chris Hovis, and Shane Reel, the famous Shane Reel. I went to Tennessee with them this past spring, or this past fall, early fall, late summer, early fall. And they have a 24-foot Sea Arc. And, there's that room is a huge pro when it comes to a boat. When it comes, that deck space is just priceless. And that's why a lot of these striper guys are taking these Sea Arcs and they're actually moving the consoles forward,
Right.
and they're leaving just enough deck space to cast a throw net, to throw a cast net, and that's it. So I mean, they're a flat bottom boat. If there's any chop at all, you are getting your teeth knocked out.
That's right.
But once they get to where they're fishing and they start trolling or their anchor or whatever, they got that entire boat. It's just nothing but open boat.
Yep, I like that. Sonny Parker wants to know whether you prefer braid or mono.
Well, it depends. It just depends on the circumstance. I would probably, if you averaged out all the pros and cons of each, I would probably lean a little more toward mono than I would braid.
Well, I see Doc's in chat tonight. He would probably go crazy if he heard you say that. Him and I used to tease each other about that all the time because after using braid, I'll never go back to mono other than leaders because I don't like the stretch. And that's what the thing that's so great about monofilament line is that it does stretch. And
well, if you're using a medium action rod that's got a lot, it's whippy, it's got a lot of give.
Right.
You don't really need that stretch.
That's my theory.
Well, it helps. It helps, absorb that shock. So
right. If you let the action of the rod and the drag of the reel do their job, you don't need stretch.
Bait caster.
Exactly.
Bait caster or spinning reels?
Again, it just totally depends. I have a crush on spinning reels. I love spinning reels, but for what I do, catfishing, I got to go with the ambassadors. I got to go with the round conventional reels. It's just, you can't really feed line out on a spinning reel. Yeah. You can, but you're either going to have to loosen the drag up. If you open the bail, you can't calculate how much line's coming off the spool unless you're using a bait feeder spinning reel. And I'm just going to have to go with conventional reel for the most part.
I'm thinking about one of these days calling Nate Davis at Tackle Banded up. He's was talking the other day about some of the spinning reels that have that part of them on
bait feeder
feature, and I've never had one that I don't believe. I've got several spinning reels, and I think that I would like to try one of them. I'm like you. I dearly love spinning reels, but for catfishing, I have not had the greatest of success with them holding up. But Nate's got some new pins in down there, and I understand that they're just amazing.
Well, Lyle, I'm telling you now, there's some spinning reels out there that you don't have to worry about them holding up. They're going to hold up. They're going a Quantum Boca, Shimano Spheros. I mean, the list goes Finnor. The list goes on and on and on. These spinning reels nowadays, I'm talking 50 pounds of drag that'll just totally whip most of your round reels' butt.
There's a good question right there. Do you think that much drag is really necessary?
It's not. However, the more drag you got, the less inertia it takes to get that drag started. So the smoother it's going to be. So yeah, it's strictly speaking, yeah, it's necessary. It's not only necessary, it is a luxury.
Because we don't ever set ours over 10 or 8 to 12 pounds, mostly around 10 or 12. Cindy's is usually set at 8, but one of the problems for us, not so much me, but it's becoming more of a problem, is when you crank that drag way down and you get a big fish on and it's in a rod holder, it's hard to get the damn things out of the rod holder. And
it is.
If the drag turned down where it'll slip a little bit, then, you lift it right on out of there.
For example, you take a reel that has a 10-pound max drag and you set it at 8 pounds, it's going to be jerky. That initial run of that fish is going to be like a whereas a reel with a lot of drag, you set it at 8 or 10 pounds, and it's gonna be a whole lot smoother initially. That initial takedown, when that spool turns over against those drag washers, it's gonna be a lot smoother.
We usually upgrade all of our drag washers and stuff. I see. Hey, there's Dieter. He does. He owes me a phone call. He owes me everything.
Hey, Dieter.
Dieter was at the first time I seen him at the Catfish conference was 2 or 3 years ago, and Doc and I was down there. We got all set up and was going live on Friday night. And Dieter and Luke Henry showed up at our booth at the same time. Doc and I took off and left them with the show, and we walked around the Catfish conference. So that was basically the only time we was going to get to see anything because we was live most of the time. And them two sat down there and done Catfish Weekly all by themselves. Luke Hinges and Dieter Melhorn. It was funny. Enjoyed it a bit.
That's awesome.
It was. But he's doing great things down there this year, and I'm happy for him. That was pretty interesting. For us that didn't get to go, we got to see a bunch of stuff that we may or may not have got to. So, Cindy says somebody's asking if you like demon dragons or peg floats better. He's locked up.
Yes, he is.
Can you guys still hear me?
I can see your head moving.
Hello. What the heck happened here? Can you guys still hear?
I hear you. Yep, they can hear you.
I don't see chat moving.
It is. It's going fast.
It is over there, but it's not over here. We lost him. Okay, Dieter, thanks. It must have he froze up. Maybe he'll hit that button and get back in here again. Only way to get him quiet. Oh, man, I hope he sees that when he gets back in here. That'd be funny. Oh, man. Man, it's good to see everybody in chat tonight. We got a big crowd in there. Can't hear you. He's frozen. Okay, that's great. He'll Amber Alert in Texas. Well, we got some thoughts and prayers out for that. Hey, you guys that know that Sonny Parker is in the house. Sonny will be on our show this summer when he's not working. I don't either. You just kind of froze up, and I didn't know if it was me or you.
It said no internet connection. My wife said we had internet, so I don't know what happened.
Things happen. Things happen. But you're back, and that's the main thing. That is the main thing. So you go through there. There were some snide remarks headed your way.
Said I called me mid mean mug.
Somebody says the only way we can catch you up, which that's not been the case, but I found it extremely funny.
Dieter kicked him off. That's funny.
It is. Have you been cutting any fishing rods apart recently?
I haven't been cutting any. I still have all those fishing rods that I cut up though. So those are going to be some pretty cool souvenirs one day.
They are. What is?
He said he was getting ready to tell you send him a link.
Send me an invite. Mike Greenwell, welcome. We're doing great, man. I need to talk to you one of these days. We'll get a chance. We'll get together. Okay, they said. Oh, the question was demon dragons or peg floats.
When you froze.
I'm just a peg float guy.
Peg float.
I've got some demon dragons. I just I don't know. I don't like all the connections. I guess you can run the line through them like Dieter does and put the electrical tape on them. I'm just a peg float guy. Now I do like putting the Hooker's Terminal Tackle line rattles on top of the peg float.
The ones that spin? Yeah.
Hang on, I got one right here. I'll show you.
While you're doing that, I'm going to turn the heat down. Too much heat. Average, how are you doing? You guys are not familiar. Average has a show on Friday nights. It's been very entertaining the last few weeks. Been a part of it. And don't forget, Wednesday night, Patriot James Catfishing. Pink.
That thing right there.
Yep. We've got a bunch of those.
Pig balls.
Yeah, nice.
That's what I call pink balls.
Stephen here wants to know if he sees ugly sticks in the background.
Do you guys use those?
Is that a
Little
lie?
rubber bobber stops?
Is that a bobber stopper?
That is a rubber bobber stop.
No, I haven't used a rubber one.
Oh, they're nice. You know, you can buy them from Cabela's, Bass Pro, but they want like a fortune for them. They're like $5 for like a pack of 10.
Wow.
You can get them online for 100 of them for like $1 or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd like to have some of those.
And what I like about them is you can just take and slide them anywhere you want them, and they'll stay there. Those are not ugly sticks. Those are Tikas.
Tikas. I like Tika reels. If it was me that's muffled, see if that helped any. Amazon is super jawbreaker says. Or jaw jerkers. That's a new name. There's a good one. Team Mayo Amateur Catfishing Anglers. Mississippi Catfish Trail moves the February 29th tournament to Hill House, Lansing, DeSoto Lake to Rosedale at Log Loader. That's some good information.
These are a cool product. They're called breakaway spin links. And here, I'll show you one.
Sure.
It's almost like a paper clip. I don't know if you could see that.
Yep.
But what you do is you can take a three-way swivel, and you got your main line up here on the top, got your leader on the bottom, and you put that little spin link on that side, and then you can attach your slinky weight, your dragon weight, your lead, whatever you want on the side there. So it makes it easy to take it on and off.
Yep. I like that.
Question asked if you all have y'all had any experience with casting reel?
No, I haven't used any casting reels. I did see a post that JR made about casting reels a few months ago.
I did a review on a Cast King reel. Good reels. But they're, in my opinion, they're not really setting themselves apart from a lot of the other Chinese round reels. They're just a fixed spool round reel. The quality's there, but when it comes to that style of round reel, you know, everybody copied Ambassador.
Yes, they did.
And the thing about Ambassadors, they have that floating spool. The spool shaft slides in and out of the spool. And if you take a Cast King apart, the spool shaft doesn't slide in and out of the spool. It's fixed. So it's going to slow the spool down a little. So you're not going to get that distance, and you're not going to have, it's not resting on bearings. So you're not going to have the tight tolerances you have on a Ambassador. Whereas if you took the side plate off of the Ambassador, the gap between the frame and the spool is going to be less on an Ambassador versus a fixed spool reel. There'll be more of a gap. So if you use anything larger than or smaller than 20-pound mono, you run the risk of it getting stuck in that gap, and that's a hassle.
Yeah, that would be. That sure would be. Shad or skipjack in your area?
We don't really have skipjack in our area. I do like using skipjack. Funny story, the YouTube tournament last year, Keith from Fishing and Stuff finished second. He only got beat by a couple of ounces. Dieter and Jeff Anderson, Big Nasty, caught a fish that was 49 so many ounces, and Keith caught a fish that was 49 so many ounces. But anyways, the fish that he caught was on skipjack from Tennessee. So skipjack catches fish in our area, but we just don't have them. I would have to go with my favorite bait around here is going to be up there with like the gizzard shad, the white perch. You know,
white perch is a big deal out there where you guys are at.
It is. You know, it's in the striper family. It's a very pelagic fish. It's very nomadic. It's on the move constantly. You know, and they're in schools, and they are invasive, but we kind of don't mind them because, you know, they're really the big reason the trophy blues have exploded on our local chains, or because of this white perch. It gives them something to eat. You know, I mean, yeah, they're eating crappie eggs and they're going around and they're devastating other species. Like you don't see any more white bass, you don't see any more yellow perch. So they're kind of bad for other species. But the grand scheme of things, I don't think they're as bad as people once thought they were. And plus, they're plentiful, so you always got bait.
Well, I like the plentiful part. That's kind of like us and Asian carp, except they're a little too plentiful around our area. But
they're a little too invasive.
Yeah, and they have become a natural food source, and the only thing that can really do anything to them is catfish, because they grow so fast. And another thing is that they grow so fast that the catfish can't eat them. But when they're small, when they get really big and they grow so fast, they get big quick, and then catfish can't even handle them. But there's a lot of studies been done, and the protein level on them are very, very high. And they have become a natural food source to do that.
I'm nervous, Kentucky. Leave me alone, man. He's making fun of me because I said pelagic.
Oh, man. Well, you know, I seen the video that Patriot James done the other day, and one of the things, I was talking to a buddy of mine that's a big crappie tournament guy. His name's Keith Atkinson, called me the other day, and he fished a catfish tournament that was up his way, and I told him, I said, I wish Missouri would change their laws like they do some of these other states and let us use bass and crappie. And he said, oh, man, he said, you can't believe in these crappie tournaments how many catfish I catch in a crappie tournament using jigs and stuff. If we tip them with anything at all, we're liable to catch catfish. And I said, well,
yep.
You tell me, you used to fish. This guy used to fish a lot of tournaments with me. He was my partner. And I said, Keith, which would you rather catch? He said, with 2-pound line, I'd rather catch that crappie. Them channel cats and blues tear the hell out of my gear.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, I catch them a lot crappie fishing too. I catch, 7 up to 8, 10-pound blues on 64 32nd ounce jigs, little soft plastics. For a long time, the biggest channel cat I ever caught in my life was Cindy. I was over on Stockton Lake, and I caught I think it was a 12-pounder, and that time that was a huge channel cat for this area, and I caught it with a jig tipped with a minnow crappie fishing. And it got me tangled up in trees and everything else. It was a hell of a battle. And we finally did get it in, but, since then that's kind of been put a long way from the wayside. But I know a lot of guys catch a lot of stuff, but James caught that nice fish he had on a bass, or parts of a bass. And I wish that they would do that. Now, do you do any videos of crappie and bluegill and bass or any of that stuff? I got some older videos of crappie. Me and Spivey, we used to do a lot of crappie fishing videos. It's sure just when it comes to crappie fishing, there's a lot more secrets in crappie fishing, so it's a little harder, because you got docks, certain, like Lake Norman. The primary structure on Lake Norman, for example, is docks. So you got certain docks that they produce a lot better than others. So you can't be making videos showing people where your docks are. You go through all the trouble of putting brush out there, and you're waiting all year for February, March to roll around. You get out there and you got somebody on your spot because you made a video or they saw you putting brush out.
Yep. Fishing and Stuff wants to know what's your favorite video you made.
Favorite video I made it's got to be the Shad Shack Presents Striper video in Tennessee. The what is it, river fishing for striper or something like that.
Yep, I seen it.
I took a lot of time, a lot of effort on that video. I'm kind of proud of it.
You've done a collaboration with several people. You've done one with you've done some stuff where you guys built some stuff down at Fishing Stuff House or something, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a recent collaboration on some drift sinkers. We come across a guy, I forget his name. Sorry, I can't remember your name, buddy. But I seen where he did a video on these on this lead that you can get on Amazon. And I messaged him. I was like, "Hey man, do you mind if I make a video on this?" And he was like, "No, go ahead." So I got with Fishing Stuff, went out there, we made a video on this this lead that you can. It comes in a coil, and you just like uncoil it and you just cut it, and it's just lead strips, and you can you can put a hole in it, or you can put it in a paracord or whatever and use it to drift for catfish.
Yep, that's awesome. Twisted Fishing wants to know what kind of shirt or whose name's on that shirt.
That's Fishing Stuff.
Yep.
I don't know why I grabbed my boot, but yeah, that's Fishing Stuff.
J&B Angler says you need to test monofilament against braid on the furthest throw using identical reels, rods, and weights.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I would have to say the braid's going to outperform the mono.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. And the reason I say that, over the years, I've made a few rods, and we test nearly every one of them, and there's different things that you can do, and different things. You put the same reel on two different rods, and they won't cast exactly the same. They just don't.
Yeah.
There's ways to change things to get more of them.
Exactly.
So said to ask him about when his boat hit road.
Ask him about when his boat hit the road.
Actually, that wasn't my boat. That was my cousin's boat.
Well, that's better. Yeah, it hit the road.
That was a striper or sea swirl, I think, is what kind of boat my cousin has. But yeah, he had just gotten that boat, and it didn't have a safety chain on the trailer, and the trailer was a little short for the boat. And it was a tandem axle trailer, but we'd went fishing Lake Norman. We were buddy boating, and my cousin stayed with me, and his dad trailered his boat home, and he had gotten on 77 right there off of 150, and as he was turning on the 77, the boat the strap broke on the winch, and it just slid. It had a couple rollers, I think, on the trailer, and it just rolled right off right there on the exit ramp. Wow. And he called us, and we were out there fishing, and my cousin answered the phone, and he was like, "Hey son, the boat slid off the trailer." He thought he was kidding, but anyways, we were able to get that thing back on there, thank God.
Oh man. Dustin Fisher said that his favorite video is the Shad Shack with the Shad Man.
Yeah.
There
you go. Hey, there's the controversy we were talking about. There's that controversy.
Cindy and I were fortunate enough to have dinner with Shad Shack night down at Winter Blues on Wheeler a couple years ago. And we actually had a really good time. Chris, a good guy, and we visited with him the whole night down there, and he had brought us a tank.
Someone else got one.
Yeah, and we delivered one to a guy that won one on our show and different things. And man, he just.
I remember that because he cut y'all's name out on the lid.
Yep, it was awesome.
He did a lot of boards.
Yeah, he may give us a lot of boards.
Measured boards.
When it comes to bait tanks, that's really one of the reasons I lean more toward the welded tanks, is because so much more craftsmanship goes into them. There's a lot more. You're building it with your hands. They're double walled, and you got all these. You got to actually get inside the tank to do a lot of the welds, and it's just like a lot more goes into them. It's not just throwing pellets into a mold and like the roto molded tanks. Yep. I like the fact that so much more craftsmanship and artistry goes into those welded tanks.
Well, I love what he does, and I like his filtering system. And to tell you the truth, he's just such a nice guy. If his tanks wasn't any good, I'd still want one because he made it. And that's the way I am about people. If I like them, and I really like Chris Hovis. I think
those tanks are tough to come by. Friends of mine, they're constantly asking me because they know I know him, and they think that somehow I can get them a deal. So I'm like, look, man, you know, he works with the Great Outdoors. Just go there and buy you a tank.
Yeah.
Support your local business owners, you know.
Sure.
Stop looking for such a deal. Everybody wants a deal. And, you know, a lot of times they won't have the tanks. They'll be out of them because, you know, it's a small operation. Chris is doing this with his son and maybe another employee. You know, it's hard for them to keep up a lot of times. And,
I bet.
you know, sometimes sometimes I feel like it's worth the wait.
Oh, absolutely. Josh Sheffield says, do you like Big Cat Fever rods or Tika rods better?
I love Big Cat Fever rods, but I also love my Tika rods. If I had a choice, I would definitely choose the Big Cat Fevers just because you're getting more rod there. It's you got the metal reel seats. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my graphite reel seats on my Tikas, and that's one of the reasons I use them over my Big Cat Fevers a lot. Is because they are light. These Tika rods are light as a feather. They're a composite S-class rod. They're tough. They got the X-Wrap shrink tube handles with the aluminum gimbals, which I do like that better. Big Cat Fever, put some gimbals on your rods because everybody's not using monster rod holders and Driftmaster rod holders. I use tournament style rod holders, rocket launcher style rod holders on my boat. I got rails on the gunnels and they attach to the rails, and those gimbals lock into those tournament style rod holders. So that's another reason I use the Tikas. But the Big Cat Fever medium action white rod is just the epitome of rods to me. I love a rod that bends. I like a whippy rod. If I would love to catch 100-pound catfish and just have that rod bend all the way to the handle. That would just be bliss. That would be blissful for me.
Now, the Tika, if their rods are as well made as their reels, they're awesome. I have
the rods are, I think, are actually a little better made than their reels.
I've got 2 of them, and I've never had an issue with either one. Never, ever. One of them I've had so long that there's very little paint left on it. I mean,
the thing with Tika is they're a Chinese OEM, and instead of like, I'm not going to name any names, but some of these companies, they're getting the Chinese OEMs to manufacture their products for them, and then they're putting their logo on them and they're selling them as their brand.
Right.
Well, Tika said, you know what? We're going to make reels and rods for other companies, but we're going to make our own brand. And that's where Tika came from. A Chinese OEM decided, hey, instead of making products for all these other people and let them put their name on them and claim it as their engineering and craftsmanship, we're going to put our own name on them. And then there you have Tika. Nobody knows about them. They don't market them. They're just kind of flying under the radar there. And then you got little guys like me that pick up on the quality of them. And I'm a huge Tika fan now.
Yeah, I've become a fan of theirs a long time ago when I started buying their reels, and they was hard to come by. And the supplier that I bought them from actually is no longer in business, so they're even harder to get now unless you go online and really do some research.
Yep.
Tika, T-I-C-A. Hey, why don't you pick me out a number between 1 and 5, and let's give away some more hooks.
All right.
Got a number in mind? 1.
That's right, Frank.
2. And the winner is Dustin Fisher.
All right, Dustin.
Dustin, just send me your message me your shipping address after the show, and we will hook you right up. Thanks so much for watching Catfish Weekly, and thanks for Catfish Supply Company for supplying these hooks to us. All right.
I feel like we just got started. It's like already 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. But, these guys that are in chat, if you guys have got some questions for JR, be sure to get them in here right quick because, we're running on about an hour. I don't mind running over, but I know he's got to work at some point, and I don't want to keep him
Somebody let me answer some questions. Jeez.
Heck yeah, man.
Jay's Fishing wanted him to give him a shout out.
Jay's Fishing. I don't see that, but But
And I don't know if I'm saying it right. Let's see.
Jay's Fishing wants you to give them a shout out.
Catfishing.
Jay's Catfishing.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but
It's way up there.
oh, well, that's
Yeah.
why then.
It's where you going.
Okay. All right.
He ain't frozen.
Nope, he's down there.
Jay's Catfishing.
Yep. What's your favorite setup for stripers?
I love these Tika rods for stripers.
For stripers?
I think I don't know. I like it seems like the really serious striper, the trophy striper fishermen, it seems like they've all converted to stiff rods. They use very stiff graphite rods for trophy. You know, they're pulling boards, they're pulling giant boards, giant baits. They got to have that stiff rod. And the Wtih rods are more of the down rods, and those are looked at more as meat fishermen, like you're down rodding for smaller fish, you know. But I just like I like a parabolic rod. I want a rod that bends, and you know, I understand you need a stiffer rod for pulling boards, and that's all well and good, but still give me my Wtih rod for those free lines. I want that. I want that. I feel like I have more control over the fish when I'm letting the rod do the work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree 100%. Kyle Rutt says, what's your home water?
I'm on the Catawba chain. Used to fish Lake Norman pretty much exclusively. And then a couple years ago, I started fishing Wiley. And I tell you what, if Norman had some big fish, I would be catfish famous, because I've caught, it's going to take a long time on Wiley for me to catch as many catfish as I've caught on Lake Norman. Lake Norman is just, it's the biggest lake in North Carolina. It's only 33,000 acres, I think, but it's the largest lake we have in our state. But there's just not any big blues in there. There are, I guess, but I don't know. The biggest blue I've ever caught out there is around 30 pounds. And I'm talking, I've caught, 1,000 blues, but there are some decent flatheads in there. I do like targeting the flatheads on Lake Norman.
That's cool. Day or night fishing?
Oh yeah, night by far. It's crazy because you think trophy blue catfishing is fall, early winter, seasonal for most of the guys that are targeting the trophy blue cats. They're going to tell you that fall is the winter is going to be the time to target them, but not for me. Summertime, it's July 4th. As soon as that spawn's over, you go out there at night in the summer, and it's game on for me.
That's right. Bill Forsey wants to know, did you ever get a bigger scale?
Yes, I got a 100-pound scale.
What's his personal best?
So,
just a minute. What's your opinion on planer boards?
Don't want to have to call Bleeder anymore to come weigh my fish for me. I'm sorry. What's my opinion on what?
What's your favorite planer board?
I got some. I used to only use water bugs. Since I started using boards for catfish, I got a set of. That's a local guide around here, Anthony Johnson. He's got a guide service called Bushwhacker, and they sell these boards at this Great Outdoors in Cherryville, North Carolina. And they're just they're homemade. They're pretty large aluminum. They got the low profile styrofoam that's vinyl wrapped on.
Okay.
But they seem to work pretty good.
Michael Pence says, "What's your favorite fish to catch?"
Catfish, of course.
Of course. K&B Angler says, "There you go, throwing out them big words again. Parabolic."
What's his biggest?
Is the 62 Lake Wiley Blue your personal best?
That is my personal best. I've caught another fish on my kayak that bottomed out my 50-pound bokas that I'm assuming was around the same size. But yeah, the 62 was my biggest fish.
That's a giant fish. I mean, there's bigger ones out there, but who is not happy to catch a 62-pound fish? I mean, that's giant. And they fight hard. It's just a great size to catch. They're awesome.
It's nerve-wracking because you're on a kayak And
Oh.
I had these boga grips, and I'm trying to hold this rod way over here, and I'm trying to get the boga grips in this fish's mouth, and he's tail whipping, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't come off. And finally I threw the boga grips down and just put the man hand on him.
Yeah, there you go. We got a guy that lives in the St. Louis area that I've fished against in tournaments for years and years. He fishes mostly by himself. His name is Danny Soffin. I don't believe the man has got an upgrade on electronics since probably the first one after the flashers. He's got real old electronics. Last I knew, he didn't have a trolling motor. He just had a chain he throwed out to slow him down. And he don't never use a net. I know one Thursday he put a 96 in the boat, and he weighed in a 95 in the tournament because I weighed the fish. He won the tournament, and he caught 50. He's throwing back 50-pound fish all day long, and he's come in. His hands just look like hamburger.
I was fishing with my friend yesterday, and we caught a decent fish, and all he had was this little crappie net. And I got the net, I'm getting ready to net the fish, and he turns around, he's like, man, I don't think that net's going to work. I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, you're right, it's not. He's like, I got some boga grips up here somewhere, so I'm looking for the boga grips, and I can't find them. And I'm like, screw it, we're going cowboy.
That's funny right there now. Flint Hill Catfishing says sometimes you just got to Steve Douglas those fish.
There you go.
K&B says, JR, Humminbird or Lowrance?
I got to go with Lowrance. I mean, I know that Humminbirds, from what I've heard from my friends that have them, are a step above Lowrance at the moment. But it's a Ford Chevy thing. Lowrance is going to be a step above them in next year probably, or Garmin's a step above both of them at the moment. I think that they're just going to fluctuate, and it just depends on what brand that you're loyal to. I bought a Lowrance HDS in 2007, whenever that first came out, Gen 1, little 5-inch, and that has been the best graph. I've spent a lot of money on graphs since then, and they're in a landfill somewhere. My Lowrance is still kicking, so I'm partial to Lowrance. I recently bought Wes Rose's Lowrance Hook 2 9-inch that I'm going to put on my boat. I'm going to flush mount it, and I'm hoping that he didn't erase his GPS, his black lines. I'm hoping from where he fishes Tennessee all the time. So if y'all see me in Tennessee in the spring, then just know that's why Wes Rose didn't erase his GPS history on his Lowrance that I bought from him.
Now, I really did enjoy the show you done interviewing him the other day. I don't know.
He's just a blue collar. He's a fisherman.
Yeah,
the man eats, sleeps fishing.
And there you go. That's what you get to where a lot of people get their greatest information from, whether they believe it or not. That's the facts. JR, what are your thoughts on catching flatheads with hot dogs and Kool-Aid?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to get with Clarence on that. But I've never caught a flathead on a hot dog. I've caught some pretty good sized blues on hot dogs. And that's another thing I was going to talk about in this show was flood conditions. Our river systems right now are just, tomato soup, where we've gotten all this rain. And anytime I've ever fished flood conditions, it seems like if there was any time of the year that you were going to use grocery store baits, any flood conditions are the time to do it. I don't know if it's because they carry more scent or what, but it just seems like garlic marinated chicken, chicken parts, hot dogs, stuff like that work well in high current, muddy water situations on the Catawba chain anyway.
Heck yeah. Texas rig or Carolina rig?
I got to go with Carolina rig. I'm a striper fisherman, converted striper fisherman to catfish, so it's hard for me to get away from that Carolina rig.
There you go.
I recently have gotten on these 3-way swivels with the snap lock thing I showed you. But
yep.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm a Carolina rig guy.
There you go. What brand hooks do you like?
I'm still on those Gamakatsus. A lot of guys say they break. I've seen, pictures of them being broken online, and never had one break on me. And I like a thinner diameter hook. I would love to support some of these local catfish guys that are making these awesome hooks, because they are some awesome hooks. but they're awesome hooks for wahoo and grouper, in my opinion. Catfish, I want something. Catfish, they got that slow pull a lot of times. I want a thinner diameter hook that's going to really sink and penetrate that catfish's mouth.
Sonny Parker says night crawlers during flood conditions, and I can tell you, I know guys that wait for floods, and them cats go up in them fields. Of course, it's a big farming area, and they look for the spots where the water drains out. They'll fish right below it. They'll anchor above it, fish below it, and they'll put a golf ball or bigger size wad of night crawlers on a hook and throw it out. So when them fish start coming, that water starts draining out, they come out. That's the first thing they see because they've been up there feeding on them, and they'll catch the crap out of them fish.
Night crawlers are about like Zebco 33s. They go hand in hand. I'd like to have $1 for every fish caught on a night crawler.
What was that? Circle or J hook?
I'm a big circle hook fan.
Yeah,
J hooks have their applications, but I like the circle hook.
If I'm bumping, or if we're doing some reason where I need a J style hook, you was talking about Gamakatsu, and that big river hook they make is unfreaking believable. I love
it's hard
that.
to beat.
It is. I mean, when you stick one with that, he's probably going to stay buttoned up.
That's what a lot of the striper guys use on their boards when they're pulling the boards.
I can't think of any time I've ever lost one on one of those, and they never break. They just don't.
Yeah.
They're a great hook. I really do like that hook. But now I know I seen some that James Arwood come out with here a while back, and they look a whole lot like those. And I got some of them, but I haven't had a chance to try them out yet. So we'll be doing that this summer and seeing how they are. Let's see. Gamakatsu or Mustad Demon hooks. You already told me if you like the Gamakatsu.
Yeah, I do love the Mustad Demons, but I keep buying the Gamakatsus.
Yeah, I did have a few of those at the circles that broke a long time ago, but you don't hear people. I don't hear people talking about breaking them any longer. Now, there for a while, it was a pretty common thing, and I had some of them break, but I haven't heard anything about that for a long time. But who knows?
It doesn't really look right. You're using these, at least a 50-pound leader. You got a 100-pound braid. You got these big, 300-pound swivels. You got this big, 8-ounce piece of lead. You got all this heavy tackle, and then you got this little thin wire ADOT Gamakatsu at the business end of it. So it kind of doesn't look right. I think a lot of guys actually get the bigger hooks just so that it'll look more uniform with the rest of their setup.
That could be. Well, JR, we're running on about an hour and 15 minutes. It sounds like to me that we're going to have to do this again, because
I agree.
I don't think we got all the questions answered. I didn't even get but 2 or 3 of the ones that I wanted to, because I wanted to make sure we got as many of them picked up out of chat as we could. And maybe I could talk you into coming back and doing another show with us.
Hey, anytime. Just let me know.
Well, like I say, I never knew what your work schedule was, and we had a little conversation about that. And I know that you're going to be changing things up there a little bit, so maybe you'll have some time, and we'll get together and do another one. And I think it'd be a lot more fun than this one was, because people had a lot of questions for you tonight, and for some reason we haven't had a lot of questions here lately, but they had them tonight, and that's awesome. So I appreciate you coming on the show with us and helping.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, man.
Thanks, everybody, for coming in. I appreciate all you guys coming in and supporting the show. Appreciate it.
We had a big crowd tonight, and I enjoyed having you on here. So let's make it a point to do it again. Next week, Denver's in. So you guys that are rolling flatties, rolling channels, rolling blues, Denver's the man that's going to tell us all about how he got that started and all that stuff. Thanks, everybody, for watching Catfish Weekly. We'll be back next Monday night. JR, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Bye. Bye, Cindy. Y'all have a good one.
You too.